All right. So our target for today was to generate HTML dynamically on the server and send it to the client. So that's what I want to do next. Now that we've kind of have our own file here to focus on the router, we can focus on how we do that. Okay. To do this, we are going to use EJS, and the EJS is called a view engine. There's several different ones out there. EJS, I think, is a good choice for us because the barrier to entry is relatively low. The syntax is somewhat familiar, and it has the basic functionality we're looking for. EJS is another example. No, I don't know. No, I wouldn't really call it that. Never mind. All right, let's go to server.js. So we have to tell our node application that our view engine is going to be EJS. So we need to specify that. So up here, after line 10, where we create our Express app, we are going to set the template engine to EJS. And what that does is it generates HTML with embedded JavaScript. And the code we do is on our app object, we invoke the set method to set a property. And the property we're going to set is view engine. And the value we're going to set it to is EJS. So this is how we tell our Express application the view engine we're going to be using when we say we want to render a page is EJS. Okay? So we have to do this up front. Now, let's switch over to router.js. So before, we were just sending a string hello world. We weren't actually sending HTML or anything, right? We're just sending the string back, which is a great way to start. But now let's actually render an HTML page and send that to the client. So we're going to do res.send still, but instead of sending a string, we are now going to call, we're not going to call send. Instead of calling send, we're going to invoke the render method. The render method says using the view engine, which we just specified as EJS, render the file index. The way the render function works is it looks inside of our views folder. So go ahead and open up the views folder. And it looks for a file inside the views folder with this name and with the extension EJS. So we need to create that. So we're going to right click on views and say new file. And we're going to create a new file called index.ejs. This is the file that will be rendered by the view engine. All right. We can just type plain old HTML in here, and that would work just fine. And so not that you need to do this, but I could do HTML, and I could create a header if I wanted to, and I could create a body if I want to. And in the body, I could do something like hello world again, but I could put it in an H1 tag. Again, we're going to change. You don't need to type this. We're going to change this. But I could write just HTML in here. And then if I were to go back and run my web application from the server, code is already running, restart it. Nope, stop. Restart it. Refresh my page. Okay, there's the HTML. Now it's an H1 element, right? So we actually sent HTML instead. But we're going to be having several pages here in our web application. And so we don't necessarily want to just dump HTML in every one of these EJS files. We want to have a unified looking web application. And so what I mean by that is there's certain information we want on every page that our web application sends to the client. And so rather than duplicating that information in every EJS file that we're going to write over the next couple of days, we can instead take advantage of what's called including through EJS. So if you open up your include folder here, I created two EJS files for us already, one called underscore header and one called underscore footer. So let's look at the header one first. Here's the header one. And you can see like this is the start of a standard HTML page. We have our doc type, which I forgot. We have the HTML tag. We have the head tag. We specified the char set, the viewport. We can make stuff a little bit more responsive here. We'll worry about that later. We have the title of our page. We're including some style sheets here automatically. We end the header. We start the body, and then we stop. Okay. So the way that this header thing works is we can basically say, hey, in a given EJS file, just automatically include all this stuff at the beginning so I don't have to copy and paste it. And so that if I want to change it later, I can change it in one place and it's going to be reflected on every page. So let's go into index.ejs. We're going to delete my example here. And instead, what we're going to type is we're going to do a HTML comment, just to be clear about what we're doing. So an HTML comment is a less than, exclamation point, minus sign, space. And then it will complete it for you. It ends minus sign, greater than. I find it very awkward to type, but that's okay. So we're going to have an include header. The EJS syntax is all of our EJS JavaScript code is prefixed by this tag, less than %-. Okay, that's the syntax for like we're starting an EJS thing. And the EJS code we're going to write here is include, and then in parentheses, the partial path to the file to include, which is include, because that's this folder, /_ header. We finish our EJS code with a % symbol and the greater than symbol. So here's a line of EJS code. And then I'm going to add another comment here just to keep everything really nicely organized. Basically like /include, this is the end of including the header. Okay. So again, these are just comments to help keep my code organized. This is the code that actually says, hey, go to _header.ejs, copy all this code, and paste it in right here. So we already have all of this code and we've just started the body. And now we're writing our own code. Why is there no arrow here? Yeah, I don't know. It might, so our prettier thing that helps color everything for us, it may not be familiar with EJS. So it might not do the syntax coloring correctly for it. That sounds vaguely familiar to me. I'm not sure though. Oh, it was one of our recommended extensions. Oh, okay. I'm not sure. Maybe it's done by IntelliSense instead then. All right, so then we're going to have our main site with all our main HTML code. And for now, we're just going to say main. We'll leave it empty. We'll fill this in momentarily. But I'm going to add some more comments just to keep this well organized. Here's the end of my main site. And then we're going to have a footer as well. So let's look at what the footer looks like. The footer simply closes the body tag and closes the HTML tag. But you could imagine in a web application, there might be some stuff you want on the bottom of every page, and this would be the place to put it. But we're going to keep it super simple for now. So I'm going to copy this code because I struggled to type the HTML comments and paste it down here and change the word header to footer. Try to change the word header to footer. There we go. So now if I run my web app again, and switch back to the web page. It's blank, but it works. Like it's there. Maybe I should have at least put hello world in here still. There we go. So we still have the hello world. This seems like a lot of work right now because the web page looks the same. It just says hello world, and we added a whole bunch of typing and nothing better has happened. This is like an investment in the future because we will need more stuff in our header, more stuff in our footer. We don't want to duplicate that code. So we'll invest the effort to organize this and design this in a sound way using best practices. And then we'll take advantage of that benefit later.